At 4:07 a.m., the deadbolt turned, even though no one inside had touched it. A faint scrape followed, metal on metal, like a key being tested and rejected. Motion lights flared across the entryway. Two shadows pressed close to the door, and a third hovered behind them, holding paperwork like a shield. Inside the dark house, two kennel latches clicked open. Nails whispered across tile. Then the security camera caught the moment the inspection became a full-blown panic. Evan Mercer had picked the neighborhood for one reason: predictability. Clean streets, quiet nights. A place where a man who worked irregular hours could sleep without surprises. He did contract security for hospitals and industrial sites, the kind of work that ran late and ended early, and he treated rest like a survival skill. His small, single-story home sat on a corner lot with a tall privacy fence, tidy gravel beds, and a narrow strip of lawn that never grew past the HOA's preferred height. The only thing about Evan that didn't blend in was the pair of Belgian Malinois he'd trained for personal protection and obedience work. The dogs were controlled, disciplined, and invisible most of the time, but their presence changed the atmosphere around the house. Delivery drivers stepped back from the gate. Door-to-door salespeople skipped the porch. The Homeowners Association had seemed harmless during closing. An online portal, an annual meeting, a list of rules about paint colors and trash bins. But within weeks, the tone sharpened. Courtesy notices arrived with bolded lines and underlined deadlines. A complaint appeared about Evan's side gate latch, even though it held perfectly. Another about unregistered animals, despite the dogs being properly licensed. The board president, Marla Dorsey, was the kind of person who treated compliance as a hobby and authority as an identity. She walked the street with a clipboard and the confidence of someone who believed the neighborhood belonged to her. Evan didn't challenge her at first. He fixed what was reasonable, documented everything, and kept living quietly. He assumed it would burn out. He didn't realize the HOA wasn't just watching his yard, it was circling his front door. The pressure started small and turned systematic. Evan's mailbox filled with violation letters that read like a scavenger hunt designed to make him fail. A lawn edge warning arrived the same week a noise complaint was filed, even though Evan was gone most nights and his dogs were kenneled indoors when he slept. Then came a fine for unauthorized exterior lighting after Evan installed a basic motion light above the garage, the same kind several neighbors already had. He appealed through the HOA's portal and received a denial that didn't address any evidence. The next day, a towing company left a flyer under his wiper blade, warning residents about improper parking enforcement. Evan hadn't parked improperly, but a neighbor later mentioned seeing Marla talking to the tow driver near the corner, pointing toward Evan's driveway as if mapping out a future mistake. A week later, the HOA posted a new notice to the community board about safety inspections and emergency access compliance. It sounded official enough to spook people, but vague enough to justify anything. Evan recognized the tactic from security work: create an undefined threat, then present yourself as the solution. The first real boundary crossing happened on a Tuesday afternoon. Evan returned from a long shift and found his side gate unlatched, not open wide, not obviously forced, just left in that precise way that suggested someone wanted plausible deniability. He checked his cameras and found a gap in the recording window, a brief outage that shouldn't have happened. The router logs later showed a restart during the exact period the gate was touched. That night, he upgraded everything. He installed a battery backup for the camera system, added a second angle that watched the first camera's blind spots, and changed every password. He also placed a simple sensor on the gate latch that logged every open and close. Within days, a certified letter arrived from the HOA claiming the board had received credible reports of an unsafe condition inside Evan's home tied to animal welfare and resident safety concerns. It stated the association reserved the right to conduct an inspection and it offered a narrow window of time that happened to fall during Evan's normal sleep hours. Evan requested the complaint details and the statutory basis. The HOA responded with a second letter referencing community standards and board authority, the kind of language that sounded powerful until someone asked for the actual rule. A third letter followed, stamped urgent, claiming the board would proceed with an inspection due to imminent risk if Evan did not cooperate. Then Evan noticed the pattern behind the paperwork. Each notice was crafted to manufacture urgency, and each fine or warning pushed him toward one outcome, being labeled non-compliant. The HOA wasn't trying to correct a problem, it was building a file. On the evening before the scheduled inspection, Evan left for work and returned early, intentionally, as if his routine had broken for no reason at all. He stayed awake. He watched his camera feeds from a darkened living room. He waited for the next move. At 4:07 a.m., the deadbolt turned. The front porch light snapped on under motion detection, turning the entryway into a stage. 3 figures stood tight to the door, Marla in a blazer that looked out of place in the night air, a man holding a clipboard and a folder, and a third who carried a tool bag with the posture of someone paid to open things that aren't his. Evan's cameras captured everything in crisp, silent clarity. The gate sensor log ticked a timestamp. The driveway camera recorded a vehicle parked down the street with its lights off. The audio picked up the soft metallic test of a key and the sharper scrape of a tool probing the lock. Inside, Evan didn't rush the door. He moved with the calm of someone who understood the difference between noise and threat. He triggered the interior lights and activated a secondary camera angle that streamed directly to cloud storage. Then he released the dogs from their kennel area, not as weapons, but as the unmistakable reality check they represented. The Malinois appeared behind the glass side panel near the entry, bodies rigid, eyes fixed, their presence turning the porch into a place no one wanted to stand. Their controlled intensity was worse than chaos. It proved they were trained and watching. The man with the tool bag faltered first, taking a step back that broke the trio's confidence. Marla's posture tightened, the folder clutched higher, as if paper could shield her from consequences. Evan didn't open the door. He didn't need to. He initiated a police call and let the situation speak for itself. The inspection froze under the weight of lights, cameras, and the unmistakable sound of a patrol car approaching fast. When officers arrived, the trio's story collapsed in real time. The locksmith's presence was impossible to explain away as a routine check. Marla's paperwork looked impressive until it was compared to actual law and actual boundaries. And when Evan provided his footage, multiple angles, timestamps, cloud backups, the entire narrative flipped. The officers identified the attempt for what it was, an unauthorized effort to gain entry. The board president wasn't enforcing rules. She was testing how far she could go.
By sunrise, the neighborhood had a new kind of rumor moving through it, faster than any HOA email blast. Not the usual gossip about paint shades or trash day, but something heavier. The association president had shown up in the dark with a locksmith and tried to enter a resident's home under the banner of an emergency inspection. Evan didn't let it become a messy he said, she said. He filed reports, requested the body cam footage, and sent formal complaints to the HOA's management company and the association's attorney. He also sent a copy of his video evidence to the entire board, along with the gate sensor logs and the router restart proof that suggested earlier interference with his camera system. The most damaging detail surfaced when the management company's internal emails were subpoenaed during the escalation that followed. Marla had been pushing an aggressive enforcement plan against Evan for months and had been exchanging messages with a local investor who specialized in buying homes from distressed owners in HOA disputes. The fine schedule, the sudden inspections, the manufactured urgency, none of it was about neighborhood harmony.
It was about pressure. The fallout was fast and public. Emergency board elections were called after multiple residents demanded resignations. The management company terminated its contract to limit liability. The HOA's attorney issued a blunt warning about personal exposure for board members who weaponized authority. Marla's influence evaporated as neighbors realized her standards could be turned on any of them. Evan's life got quieter again, but not because he accepted the HOA's version of peace. It got quieter because the power dynamic changed. Cameras stayed up, documentation became habit, and the dogs remained what they had always been: disciplined, watchful, and impossible to ignore. In a community built on rules, Evan learned the difference between order and control, and how quickly one can masquerade as the other. If a board can convince itself that paper grants permission to cross a front door at 4 a.m., what else could it justify next time on someone who doesn't have cameras or proof or K9s waiting in the dark?